did watch you guys on YouTube. Sure, so at least
I wouldn't say the same.
I love what's going on.
I'm just kidding.
Interesting.
It's a fairly unusually short agenda. But it's
Yeah.
the same thing get pushed on.
Yeah, I did that one.
We don't have
When
one.
I see Volvo.
Right,
I think they're waiting for November claim, whole meeting
for the what?
for the November.
For the plan?
You gotta cut it down to 25% or something like that.
You know, they knew we delayed it to
Whatever.
November, so.
But it was stated that.
Yeah.
We would discuss that.
So do we have the real hearing? I mean, the.
I don't think there's another hearing.
You'll have another one.
Is it an actual hearing? No, the hearing stopped.
Well,
Oh,
if you don't have a new hearing, then you can't really introduce new evidence.
Yeah, I would think that there'd have to be a public hearing for any, before the vote.
you throw us through. Correct that. Ah, here.
You guys don't have as much room to lay out your stuff anymore. You know,
No.
it'd be nice and cozy.
Yeah, I really like this setup.
You?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Well, I have some hearing issues. Be
Yeah.
closer to the folks. And the microphones, if we were to use the microphone, we probably don't need to. But
Thank you. And usually we can't look at each other. The angles don't work.
you're not good.
So do you get to disappear again? Do you have to disappear again?
I
Do you have to disappear again?
will, yeah. I did this, I think it was in 2009 also at Northwestern, did a T-Mobile. That's when we regulated cell phone,
Oh, okay.
and then the state took that away from the county. Yeah, so I did that in that case. That was at the substation in Danbury.
Okay.
That's no fun. Let's get rid of that stuff.
Well. I just got an ACH dividend at the end of September.
You're the file.
Happy to have it.
Okay, yeah. You can hang on to that stuff.
I know. Electricity may become free someday. Too.
One day we just get those disappear.
It is 9 o'clock. I'll call the Land Use and Information Committee meeting for October 3rd, 2023 to order. Notice has been posted in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.84 open meeting law. At this time, we'll accept any public comments. 3-minute time limit. Is there any public comments at this time?
Meeting on this law.
Turn these on.
I think that one's on.
Oh, okay.
State your name.
That is Summer Fountain. I talked to a retired tax assessor and also another person that's worked in tax real estate. And to change this from A1 to A2, we're giving up the power or the township level control over the land compared to the A2. The A2 is a 10-acre parcel, the A1 is a 35-acre parcel. Looking at most of you people here, you probably do build Stirring. You know, that if you did or not, but he advocated this really strong when he was pushing on zoning to keep farmland. And to go down to a 10-acre parcel. When that goes to that level, usually it comes to the county board. As to them readjusting or rezoning that parcel. And if there's a request to make it a smaller parcel than that, it may or may not be granted. So I'm advocating to keep this at A1 for the land that we have. Number one is that is our choice as a landowner. And number two is once this is gone, it'll never come back.
And we're gonna talk about this as part of a public hearing later. Well, we're gonna talk on a public hearing later, but it's okay to start now because it's a short agenda today. It doesn't have to be A2, but we eliminated A1 and there's another zoning district called A4. And then there's the A exclusive ag district, okay? And so if you would prefer not to be A2, A4 is the same thing as A1, except it's called mixed use forestry and agriculture, but it's equally farmland preservation eligible and all that. And we can do that in A2 also, but we use an overlay then to make A2 more like A, so you really don't lose it. It was the rationale was to limit the amount of exclusive ag, which is the only zoning district now in the county that you can exceed 500 animal units in. That was the rationale, to try to control that to where the optimal area for that kind of thing is.
So if there was anything to be at a 500 animal or more thing or a capable farm. That would still have to be approved by the committee here or be permitted by the DNR, whichever, doesn't it?
You'd be a grandfathered in if you did, and if you wanted to get into that number approaching a CAFO, then you could seek a rezoning to A from A2 or A1, A4 if you wanted to do that. But what we were trying to do, because of the really serious concern about that swine operation proposed in Trade Lake, that everybody down there is wildly opposed to, we're trying to get control of it at the county level. The state citing law preempts us otherwise. We don't get anything to say about it, right? This restores some local control so that, but it doesn't mean you can't rezone. But what we chose A2 for was, it's the one we thought most people would want to be, but I think we could amend that to a different district if you wanted us to. So
I'm not for capable farms, so yeah,
No.
I did not know that part of the information packet up there. So.
no, that's why we do the public hearing so you can get in on it. So if you want to wait until we come back up to talk about this and specifically address your own, we can amend that for you and somebody else before county board, we could do it too. But we haven't had much for comments, I don't think. So and actually, to tell you the truth, I think that A4 zoning district is probably for north of 70 in Burnett County, the proper zoning district, really. Because it allows more, it's an ag district, but it doesn't anticipate huge numbers of livestock. And it would allow Christmas tree plantations and forestry practices along with agriculture, right?
I mean, I was told years ago by my dad that everything north of Highway 8 someday is gonna be zoned recreational. And you look at it today, it's kind of going that way.
It's sort of the way it's leaning, but we want to not lose the smaller, other what they might consider niche farms anymore.
Well,
Because,
that's right.
but we want to encourage that. We want to see guys grazing and doing stuff innovative and crop farming and all that other stuff. But up in a sandier country, it makes us real nervous to have 8 million gallons of liquid manure out there,
But the DNR has regulations with that.
They do, but they're under the thumb of the state more than we are. We can kind of say, look, that might be okay somewhere else, but in our soils and our 20 feet to the water table part of the world, that's not a good idea, right? That's why we did what we did, so you understand. But yeah, we can fix this the way you want it to be, I think.
And Sarah, like the light use form that says the zone is at the A1, A2 up to A4, do they have all that stuff there?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I'll go back there and get that then, so.
Yeah.
I can
Go ask them for the A4 district so you can look at it and then come back and you can be ready for when we get to the public hearing.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Is that mic on?
That one's on.
Hmm?
That one is on, yes.
Good morning. I wasn't sure if we should make comments now during the public hearing regarding the Web Lake Solar, or if we would be allowed to discuss when you guys are discussing it later in the agenda.
Discuss it then.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're not going to make any deliberations or determinations today. We're just discussing, I think primarily how we're going to consider it. But I think what you can provide for us would be helpful. So, okay.
I'll wait.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any public comments on line, okay. We will continue on. Approval of the agenda order.
Make a motion to approve the agenda order.
Motion by Mr. Payton,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the minutes from the September 5th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second that motion.
Motion by Brent, second by Mr. Payton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. At this time, we'll go into the public hearing and have Jason read the public hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing, state of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. at Burnett County Government Center, room 160, town of Enid, Southern Wisconsin, regarding the following Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances. Number 1, map amendment MAP 2309, various parcels in the town of Russ to rezone 36 different parcels in the town of Russ, town 39 north, range 14 west, from A1 agricultural transition to A2 agricultural residential zoning district. Zoning change requested by the Burnett County Land Use and Information Committee since the A1 district is being eliminated. Parcel number 1, south half of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter, section 2, tax ID 15588, owner Chambers. Number 2, the southeast quarter of the southeast quarter, section 2, tax ID 15589, owner Chambers. Number 3, the northeast quarter, except the north 292 feet of the east 300 feet, section 11, tax ID 15797, owner Chambers. The north 292 feet of the east 300 feet of the northeast quarter, section 11, tax ID 15798, owner Chambers. The northwest quarter of the northeast quarter, except the south 490 feet, section 11, tax ID 15800, owner Chambers. Southeast.
List all?
Yeah.
Okay,
Got to read them into the record.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we get more than just the chambers.
Yes, well.
Oh, yeah, well, there's
Oh, okay.
36 of them, so we're getting to them.
That'll give Mr. Sommerfeld time to get his handout to look at A4.
sure.
Let's see, I think I was on number 6, the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, except the south 425 feet of the west 515 feet, section 11, tax ID 15803, owner Chambers. The northeast quarter, the northwest quarter, section 11, tax ID 15804, owner Chambers. Northeast quarter, the southeast quarter, section 26, tax ID 16206, owner Sommerfeld. The northwest quarter, the southeast quarter, section 26, tax ID 16207, owner Sommerfeld. Southwest quarter, the northeast quarter, except the west 300 feet, section 27, tax ID 16212, owner Stelrate. The southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 27, tax ID 16214, owner Stelrate. The northwest quarter, section 27, tax ID 16217, owner Stelrite. The southwest quarter, the northwest quarter, except CSM volume 9, page 165, and also accepting CSM volume 9, page 167, section 27, tax ID 16218, owner Stelrite. Lot 1, CSM volume 9, page 165, section 27, tax ID 16219, owner Stelrite. Lot 2, CSM volume 9, page 165, section 27, tax ID 16220, owner Stelrite. Lot 3, CSM volume 9, page 167, section 27, tax ID 16221, owner Stelrite. Lot 4, CSM volume 9, page 167, section 27, tax ID 16222, owner Stelrite. The northeast quarter, section 28, tax ID 16233, owner Stelrite. Southeast quarter, northeast quarter, section 28, tax ID 16236, owner Stelrite. The northeast quarter, the northeast quarter, except the parcel described in document 171176, section 32, tax ID 16302, owner Domres. The northeast quarter, the northeast quarter, except the north 363 feet of the east 363 feet. Section 33, tax ID 16322, owner Stelrate. The north 363 feet of the east 363 feet of the northeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 36, tax ID 16323, owner Town of Rusk. The southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 33, tax ID 16326, owner Stelrate. The northeast quarter, the southwest quarter, section 33, tax ID 16331, owner Whedon. Northwest quarter, the southwest quarter, except the west 30 feet, section 33, tax ID 16332, owner Fogarty. The southwest quarter, except the highway parcel, section 33, tax ID 16333, owner Chambers. The southeast quarter, the southwest quarter, except the highway parcel, section 33, tax ID 16334, owner Stelling. The southwest quarter, the northeast quarter, section 35, tax ID 16363, owner Olson. Southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 35, tax ID 16364, owner Olson. The northeast quarter, the northwest quarter, section 36, tax ID 16385, owner Johnson. The northwest quarter, section 36, tax ID 16386, owner Stockton. Southwest quarter, the northwest quarter, except the south 440 feet of the west 990 feet, section 36, tax ID 16387, owner Stockton. The south 440 feet of the west 990 feet of the southwest quarter, the northwest quarter, section 36, tax ID 16388, owner Stockton. The south 400 and, whoops, did I already do that one? Yes, I did. No, I did not. The south 444 feet of the west 990 feet of the southwest quarter, northwest quarter, section 36, tax ID 16388, owner Stockton. The southeast quarter, the northwest quarter, section 36, tax ID 16389, owner Johnson. The west 30 feet of the northwest quarter, the southwest quarter, section 33, part of tax ID 16306, owner Ursus. The highway, state highway 70 parcels in the southwest quarter, the southwest quarter, and the southeast quarter, the southwest quarter, section 33, part of tax ID 161, center, owner Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Details of the proposed revisions are available at the Burnett County Land Service Department, Burnett County Clerk's Office, and on the Burnett County website.
Good job. Thank you. Could you double back to the Summerfeld one so we could find it on our iPad? But no, that's in about the top
Yes, that one is
third or less.
6206.
He had, yeah, numbers 8 and 9 from the list. Go with your package, you can see the parcels that we have.
Yeah, it's on page 15. According to my iPad, 8 and 9, so he has 80 acres. Yeah, he'd be perfect for A4. He's right between A2 and 4th Street.
All right, so that was the only one we have for the public hearing. So you'll see there's 36 different parcels in the town of Rusk. Everyone was sent notices about that a few months ago. All the adjoiners were noticed. I haven't, the only people I heard from. Probably should have that door open.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The town of Rusk chairman, I spoke to him a few months ago. He was just wanting to verify, what was going on in case he had public for people at their town meetings, and then I never heard anything from him again, and haven't heard anything until Mr. Summerfeld today.
I think I think for someone who wants to maintain the 35 acre parcel size, that's why we kept A4. You know, we considered not having it, but
Yep.
it won't be in one extreme or the other. That provides a middle ground. Perfectly reasonable place. He's got, looks like he's got forestry to his east and north. You know, from a purity about the map point of view. And I think we could, because we're recommending the most generous at A2, by going to a slightly more restrictive district, we don't have to
Yeah,
re-notice or publish.
I would agree with that. Yep.
All we have to do is get him back in the room now. Don's gonna go track it down. Good.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on our list. There was one, at least one that. I only see one that was crossed out, Mr. Forbach. I was just wondering why that was,
Oh, so you're looking at the spreadsheet.
yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet.
Because that parcel, so that spreadsheet was generated via our GIS staff doing some automated routines, and I went through and double checked to make sure all those parcels were actually zoned correctly. And if you look at that zoning map for that specific parcel, there's some RR that's, I think, intended to cover over that parcel. It's just slightly shifted over a little bit. So I basically said, no, that RR is supposed to be on that little parcel. That number that was crossed off.
Sort of a mapping.
Yeah,
of
but
the-
zoning maps, a lot of them were created before we had parcel mapping. So, you know, they would just kind of draw where they thought the.
Mr. Summers.
Okay,
Oh.
Yeah, he had to read all of the parcels that we're doing, so you had plenty of time to go
yeah,
get your
the
information.
housekeeping of the notice. I have one other question, so that clears that up. You probably read, actually, it's the next item on the spreadsheet. First, 16322, still right. I did not hear that one read. I may have just plain missed that. Is that included? It just seemed to me that went from, as you read, it went from Domres to the town of Rusk. I could have just plain missed it for whatever reason.
So where, which number?
Yeah, 16322. It's right below the one, Mr. Farbach that was crossed off. Kind of easy to find that way. This would be of any help to you.
No, I'm getting to the public hearing notice to see if it's on that list.
Double checking.
Yeah.
If you want to take a look at the map, I can show you how it's zoned around you too. Since I have it up here. See, this is you.
Yep.
So this is A2 already here and here. This is forestry and this is forestry.
Yeah, it's listed as number
So if you
21.
wanted to be A4,
in the published
Sure.
hearing.
No reason
No,
not to.
I didn't even know A4
tax ID
existed.
163.
It's not used very much, but
Alright.
we've got a guy up north of Danbury, up
So that's included,
west of 35,
uh,
bunch of land. holes
legally noticed.
That he's
Yep.
A,
Okay, very
but he
good.
should be A4 as well.
Thank you.
And the town of Swiss will probably change him the same for the same reason.
Well, if A4 is what you think I should do, I haven't researched it at all, but
Well, it's 35 acre minimum.
Yeah.
It's in every way like A
A1.
and A1, except for that it's gonna still be in the ordinance, whereas A1 isn't gonna be. And A1's original purpose was to be next to urban areas that were gonna be future loss of farmland, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's as far as you can get in Burnett County and away from the town and still be in Burnett County. So I wonder honestly if they meant A4 and accidentally did A1 back in the day. I don't know.
well, Milt advocated that A1 or something that we would have the protection of. That's why everything went into A1 it did.
Okay, well, A would have been, and A1 and A4 all would be equally protective of your 35 acre idea there.
You think A4 is equal to that, then that's what I should know.
It has, the only thing it doesn't different between A and A4 is that A allows unlimited animal units, because under state law, somebody has. Okay,
Yeah.
and A4 can catch you at 500. But I don't, the idea would be, the fear would be of a parcel like this up there that they would do one of those hateful things on 40 acres and then try to farm out all the liquid manure and waste around it.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, and
They
that's,
contract it out.
that's what we're concerned about as we get north of 7.
Yeah.
North of sand,
Well, there's more waterways up there too. That's where a lot of things start.
and it's shallow to the groundwater.
Yeah.
All of those reasons were reasons why we tried to limit it to there'll be about 160,000 acres of ag land in Burnett County total, right? Well, about 30 of it is gonna be A, and the rest will all either be A2 or A4.
So my sister and her husband have some too. Can we look at that or
What's hers?
not? We're going to section 33,
What's the name on her?
Doris and Tim Meyer.
Meyer? Jason will find it and tell me what number it is. There's a number.
Well, if you look, keep scrolling through those maps, I have the parcels numbered in order
Okay, what,
and they go by section. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know where it is.
but
Meyer,
so that your relative's land is not currently zoned A1.
I don't know what it's zoned in as.
Oh, okay.
It might be at A2. I don't know that.
Pull up the zoning map.
there wasn't any A in Rusk. I don't think.
You said section 33.
I believe it is, yes.
Two,
Where exactly at in 33 is it, got County Road H is on the east side.
It's on the west side of H on Rolling Green.
You got-
Look at 2313 Rolling Green and they go up would be the second 40 back. I have the fields there and their woods is to the back part of that.
Okay, so yeah, your parcel there is zoned by the road is A2. Timothy and Doris Myers to the south of that is zoned A2. So those are already zoned 10 acres. A lot of Rusk is zoned at A2 already, which is the 10 acre minimum lot size.
so we're saying the one that you're representing today, if you want to, you just ask us, make it A4, we'll make it A4.
All right, just draw a little line on the one.
Pardon?
Just draw a little line on the one.
We'll just do it here in the meeting. It'll be, instead of A1, it'll be,
The tax breaks on that are still the same.
can be, same, it's the same 35 acre thing. It's eligible for farmland preservation. If you want to participate in that. It's just like A1, except no hog farm.
I don't raise hogs anyway, so.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
No cattle, yeah.
So
Okay.
parcel essentially 8 and 9 on the list would be A4
yeah, I'll,
instead of A2.
after we open this
Yeah.
public hearing. When
Right
we,
now, it's A1.
when we get to it, I'll make the motion, okay?
Yep.
Are we ready for that? 'Cause
I'll
I'll,
open the public hearing.
Yeah,
okay,
do that.
we've taken testimony,
Yeah.
right? Gotta get all of our ducks in a row. So after, based on that landowner's request, I will ask to amend the rezoning recommendation of county board for the parcels shown as 8 and 9, that's 80 acres in section 28 or 6, what is it? Can't read it. 26, right?
Yeah.
To rather than A1, rezone from A1 to A4 for that 240s, 180 acre rezone request.
Thank you for doing that. Bring me back.
This will be two recommendations to county board. Or can they all be on one?
I think they'd all be on the one.
Yeah, it'll just be that,
I'll have to adjust that resolution before you guys sign it. Cause I would wanna change that on that resolution that I drafted.
just remove it from the A
Yep.
two and say, and add the
Yep.
parcel to A4.
Yep.
And we're good.
Yep.
So we need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schmitzky. A roll call vote. You want to read the motion or? Sean?
Did you catch that, Tanya? The motion
Yeah,
is
you
to,
can read all 36 of them. Make sure I had to do.
but it's an amendment to the proposal for two 240s, the number 8 and number 9 in section 26 from A1 to A4. No, I think we can cover both 40s with one ownership. Yeah, for whatever the legal is of those 240s. I didn't have that at my fingertips, but
Yeah, you're basically approving the rezone request and then modifying parcel 8 to be going to A4 instead of
right.
I guess we've heard the motion. Mr. Schmitzky,
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg,
Yes,
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson is absent. Mr. Payton,
Yes,
Mr. Conroy,
Yes,
Mr. Bickford, yes. Recommendation to county board would be to change the A1s to A2s, except the
And
two
A4.
parcels would be A4. Okay. Anything else on that rezone request? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Go on to discuss the CUP 2315 Northwestern Electric Company Solar Generation Facility.
and here again, I'll recuse myself because I, the natural interest in Northwestern Electric. And so then I'll just spend the upcoming minutes, whatever, in the clerk's office. I'll be back then,
You're excused.
God willing.
Let's see the half hour.
Sure.
And you have
So I'm Beth Esser again from One Energy Renewables. And I just wanted to present a little overview of the information that we've shared with Jason. Then that he has shared with all of you. So we're really appreciative of the opportunity last month to work on proposed conditions for the project. We made really good progress, I think, working with Ben Garrett from Wisconsin DNR, who heads up the local community wildfire protection. Last Monday, Ben met with myself, Chief Henquist from the town of Webb Lake, John Richards from Northwestern Electric, and then Steve Austin, the town of Webb Lake chair, and one board member from the town of Webb Lake were present, were part of that meeting as well. So, you know, Ben also summarized that information from that meeting and forwarded. I believe you've all received that information as well. So we understand the seriousness of the threat of wildfire in the community here, and we take that very seriously. So we are, you know, our hope is that this project helps create actually some decrease in fuel source by clearing the area and also creating some fuel breaks around the project perimeter. In addition, we have conditions that have addressed some of the other concerns that were raised in various comments made from the township through email and public comment. So, for example, we put a condition for decommissioning and having removal security in place for that. And also Chief Hemquist really talked a lot about training. And so we put a lot of conditions in related to the training of the local emergency responders. Finally, we also had heard about installing what, concerns about wildlife. So just want to be clear that our fencing that we propose is wildlife friendly. Small animals are able to move throughout the project area. I also have shared with you all a memo from our engineers, which talk about our efforts to design a project with fire safety and security in place. The primary thing that Ben was saying is that these projects don't create an additional risk of fire in a community. We have not had any solar fires in Wisconsin. And the thing that we look at is prevention. And so that starts with the design of a project, the construction of the project, and then the ongoing maintenance of the project as well. Also, we worked with Ben, we talked with Ben, our land management person that plans the vegetation for the project. We'll work with him to make sure that the vegetation plan for this project within the project fence is designed to be low fuel risk. He talked about Forbes being primary thing he'd want to see in there, so we will be working with Ben to make sure that that is in place. So I think that's all I wanted to say, really. I'd be really happy to answer any questions that you all have in relation to the project and the proposed conditions.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee?
I've got a comment. The local snowmobile club currently has a trail that is on that property. Can we get something added to these conditions to say that that trail will continue?
So we do have a condition that says that Northwestern Wisconsin Electric will work to make sure that that trail is repositioned or, so that can continue. We're going to have a lot of that parcel still open. Only 14 acres of the parcel will be utilized for the project. And so there's going to be an area in the front of the projects that is a setback from the highway. And then there's a lot to the south, but I would assume that that front setback area would probably be where it would be relocated.
Right, and I'd assume that that'll be the fire break area, that'll be open anyway.
So the fire break, so what Ben recommended for the fire break is that we have 20 feet between the fence and the existing tree line. And so that's what's planned. So there will still be some tree line that remains.
But the tree line screening purposes by the road, right?
Yes.
And then, but the trail could be located into the fire break area that's outside the fence, right? Or not?
Yeah, I suppose I'm not real familiar with the snowmobile trail.
No, I'm not either.
So I don't know if being on the emergency access.
Well, looking
area
at
would
where
be okay, I think
where the
so.
snowmobile trail comes out onto the 26 Lake Road is pretty far east of the current substation, I noticed. But might just cross the corner of the fire break is what I'm guessing. But
Sure. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that'll all be covered in snow during snowmobile trail season. So if it's aggregate underneath, I guess it doesn't matter what is
Yeah.
underneath.
Right.
the
Well, I'm
snowmobile
thinking-
trail. Okay.
I'm thinking, I think we want to be somewhat cautious today about not deliberating this. We're just, I think mainly going to come up with how we're going to consider it, because we last time weren't prepared to consider it. Right? So I appreciate that and any other questions, but as far as into the details, that'll save that for the public hearing, I think.
Randy, they did have at the bottom of her notes about the work to have the
Oh, yep, there
snowmobile
you
trail
go.
relocated.
Correct, thank you. I missed that one. I missed the back.
Got to turn them over
Sinks on
sometimes.
both sides.
Yeah, that's a new thing, innovative
I
thing.
do have a question for Northwestern Electric. Says design project with ground operated electrical disconnects to shut down all electricity production from this project. Then it goes on to say it would be continuous remote monitoring. This remote monitoring does mean you have to go up there to shut it down, or?
It'll be remotely monitored.
Okay, oh, okay.
There'll be multiple switches in this system. There'll be a 12 kV switch on our end. That's electronic that you can open a door and push a button, switch will open. It's a vacuum switch. And One Energy will have a similar switch. But they'll be able to open it up.
Not having to go to site to do it. Right, okay.
We have remote shutdown inverters, and we also have disconnects on AC and DC side that are available as well.
I know that was one
Multiple
question
disconnects.
about, our department had, how long would it take if it's remote? Shut down.
That'll be remote. We do have some switches that can be remote operated. We're still be adding to those capabilities. Usually it's at the higher voltages, though, at the substation voltages, transmission voltages. This is a 12 kV system. We'll be working.
Any other questions from the committee? Comments?
I have not necessarily in regards to this, but Jason, you received an email that Beth was nice enough to respond to that had some misinformation in it. My question is, did you send Beth's response back to the person that sent the email so that they can verify their own?
Oh, I did not like that.
I guess I'm throwing it out to the committee. Should we?
Normally, I don't get into a back and forth
Right,
via email with people. I just submit. Everything goes to you guys and you guys can hopefully filter out the,
And what goes to us is on the public record,
yeah,
so it's available if someone
Yeah.
is wanting to look for it. I get Jason's point because it would become,
all of a sudden, then they're gonna send me something back
Well,
that maybe refutes
and then you're
that.
gonna not respond to somebody, but you did respond to somebody else, and then
Yeah,
it's becomes a he said, she said arrangement.
so I either need to respond to everyone
right.
or respond to no one.
And I get, my concern was if this person sends that information out to other people, they're. We get a whole 100 people that show up saying, well, there's 10 reasons why we shouldn't do this, and basically this stuff isn't valid. Do we just answer it at that public hearing?
Pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah, because there's no way to know
Yep.
that you get everybody,
yeah,
it's sort of the world we live in a way. I think what I'd like to recommend committee do, if you haven't already, is hunt down chapter 66.0403 Wisconsin stats. Karen and I were at the training session Wisconsin Counties Association put on at the convention. And Wisconsin Counties Association attorneys were talking about the legal standings for these sort of things, and it's not like anything else. It's like Act 67 25 years ago in some ways, because that statute restricts local government citing considerations or conditions placed for solar energy to public health and safety and a couple other things benefit. I think we need to be, what I would like to ask that we do is ask counsel Dave to review the statute and give us some guidance on the three things that we can consider, and the case law that is spun out from this statute, which Karen knows they talked about some cases, but I didn't try to hunt those down. I don't practice law, but Dave could kind of give us what is the case law is from the law when there have been some. I think that'll provide us some guidance. We also learned at the session that considerations that the Public Service Commission does when we have 100+ megawatt unit, which this is not anywhere even close to that. But that completely preempts local authority then. Then the Public Service Commission conducts a public hearing and considers a list of things kind of similar to what we do in a conditional use. And then absent us having a regulation where we do a conditional use, a facility like this would be absolutely permitted. It isn't, so the only reason that it's regulated is because we say so at the local level. Just know that. But there's a lot of support, let's call it, from the legislature for renewable energy projects. So we need to kind of know what it says, but I think, Jason, can you twist Dave's arm about looking at those things? I talked to him in the parking lot too, but to look into the case law and then the last thing I'd say is the DNR's website has a pretty good reference of other useful information about this stuff. Renew Wisconsin was one I read some stuff on, and there's another one, Upper Midwest something or other about solar energy that had a lot of in Wisconsin guidance about what you can do, what you can't do. I don't want to try to explain that, but I think everybody should read through that.
I'll just one also.
Yep.
That's how we do that.
I didn't want to get too far, but that's what we need to know those things, what the background is to know what we can and can't do. So,
know what we can, not regulate. Do you contact? Dave?
I will get a hold of Dave, yeah.
so anyway, I think we're not making any motions or anything.
I don't,
Could you come up so we could hear you better?
and I was here last time. My name is John Richardson, president of the Western Wisconsin Electric Company. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things that I think are pertinent to the process. In the utilities that supply the generation around us. I'm sure all of you have heard this, but I just wanted to reiterate. In the long-term resource plan, Minnesota Power will have stated and reported in the start through number 7, 2022, that they're going to close down the last one. Xcel Energy, as they stated in their long-term resource plan, they will be shutting down all their coal at 2030. That also was stated in the start through February 8th, 2022. Garrett Power Cooperative, who supplies the generation and transmission to the co-ops that are all on this. If you go to their website, they've outlined 3 plants that have been recently shut down. Utilities are seeking zero carbon emission options. Because this is the world we live. Whether we like it or not, these plants are closing down. These are where Western, all the small utilities that serve people in Burnett County are looking for generation. And they're closing. Most of you are seeing it. The state of Minnesota has created legislation to remove all carbon-based generation projects from their state and to be imported into their state. And that isn't very far. I don't know the exact year, but so this is the world that we live, or I live every day with the utility, trying to figure out how to supply the energy needs. So as I stated before, Northwestern has about, depending on the year, about 15 to 22% of its energy mix is from renewable generation, some wind and some local hydro. The rest of it we buy from the market. There used to be transactions directly with power plants. Now utilities buy and sell off the market, whether they're long-term or short-term contracts. That's how we do it. And we do it based on the energy mix that's available from the generation. It all goes into a pool and we all buy it. So just after the pandemic, during the pandemic, we saw some things that happened that totally took us by surprise. And I talked about the population expansion and the expansion of load in the Webb Lake area. We upgraded the distribution system twice. We're in the process of looking at upgrades on the transmission system. But that load up there and the sharp peaks that occurred during the summer months really surprised us. And I think in general, the whole county was a little bit surprised by the popularity of the Northwoods during and right after the pandemic. So we looked at distribution costs, distribution upgrades. We took all the substations around the Webb Lake area. We beefed them up. We beefed some circuits up. Those are types of costs add to the fixed cost in our system. We did the same thing with transmission, and we continue to do the same thing with transmission. The transmission line that serves the Webb Lake sub was built in the 50s. We've been working with the local landowners to not only upgrade that line with new construction, but to increase the size of the right of way to negate some of the issues that we've talked about already regarding local fire dangers and more pertinent reliability. I can't tell you that this has actually happened. The transmission authority in the area. And so there's control areas in our world. There's utilities, big utilities that are responsible for certain areas. And they call them the control authority, the load balancing. I've gotten calls during these summer months, right before these holidays. How are you guys going to keep the voltage up there? Because their substations are affected as well. And by their own, because their own loads is expanding, and they know we have transmission capabilities up and through here. So how are you going to deal with this? So we work together on ways to negate the immediate problem that occurs during these holiday weekends. And most of them are, I'll be honest, most of them are contingencies. We lose a transmission source down on Highway 8 or this line or this line. What are we going to do about this line because the voltage will decrease? But these conversations do exist. So as utilities, we are constantly looking at the short-term issues and how to deal with them, and not only now, but in the long term. So as I said, we use distribution upgrades and transmission upgrades. And then the other option is the solar option. Solar reduces the investment in future fixed costs because we buy the energy. Somebody else builds the facility. In this case, One Energy developed. It reduces the energy costs during peak pricing periods. During this really hot weather, energy is trading at very, very, very high costs. And this is a way for us to minimize and fix that cost on a known basis. Supplies energy for growth, of course. It's a source for renewable mandates, those megawatt hours. It's site specific. You build it where you need it. In this case, because of the growth and because of the sharp peaks, it allows us to look at the site specific needs up here and apply this to it. I brought some information. I think I have them. These are the last couple of pages of this handout. And I'll talk about the other one. They're kind of out of order, but has some pictures of some solar installs that our customers have, some aerial photographs. These are customers in the area that that have installed solar at their homes. I mentioned before, we have 100 plus of these customers. And some of these site specific issues exist that we talked about. And I wanted to point out that these issues exist outside of this facility in the area. And they have for quite some time. And so I just wanted to point out that there are systems that residential customers only that are out there. They're in the Northwoods and they're in densely wooded areas. And you don't know they're there. One Energy's proposal addresses the residents' concerns. When you look at the first page of the handout I gave you, the first two sentences basically say that when it comes to, and you can Google this, that particular information is right out of the Wisconsin DNR's website. But if you Google what causes forest fires in Wisconsin, you'll get that page. And the first two sentences say 98% of the cause is people. So this facility and our electric lines would fall in the other 2%. These issues have been brought up in this proposal to my personal surprise. I guess I wouldn't have guessed that these issues would have been a thing. But they are. And one thing I've learned in my position is if it exists in somebody's mind, it's real. It's real to them. So if there is a fire danger, it's real to them and we have to address it. So that 2%, according to this handout, of other reasons these types of fires can start within there somewhere is possibly power lines and possibly this project. So I think that One Energy has done a good job to address those concerns in the minds of those individuals. They've created a border around the project, the visual issue. And that also creates a buffer from not only an issue with a possible fire within the facility, but it's to their best interest to protect this facility and our best interest from problems outside of this project. Because remember, 98% of the problems are going to be caused by people and people issues. So One Energy has a vested interest, Northwestern has a vested interest in addressing this as well. So we've done that with borders. We've talked about some of the other conditions that were brought up at the last meeting, and I think One Energy and Northwestern have done a good job in addressing those. Northwestern has committed some resources, which I said at last meeting, I think is a good thing. These things have come out, and we've committed to training with the local fire department. We've committed to informational site visits with the local fire department, and we'll probably invite other fire departments too, because as I've personally asked around, the local fire departments, this is not on their radar. So, and it hasn't been because, as has been pointed out by the Wisconsin DNR representative that we talked to, there's no evidence that a solar facility contributes to fire danger in Wisconsin. So, but it could happen. It's a facility. I would like to talk to local fire departments as often as we can about substations. And so why not just bring this into the fold? And we do that. Northwestern has 100-year plus history of serving the community and the community's needs with electricity. So as I've said, we have a vested interest in building this facility and seeing that it's built correctly to protect the community and to provide a long-term power supply to the community at as low cost as possible. And help us to provide the energy needed to support continued growth in not only our population, but our tax base. We will pursue best practices as time goes on by the National Electric Service Code, the National Electric Code, and the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. So there's more than one entity watching this and how this project is built. There's all sorts of regulatory authorities out there. Also in that handout, I just wanted to point out that there's a 2023 aerial photo of the property and a 2020, there's a 2003 aerial photo of the property after it's been clear cut. And as Beth mentioned, one of the things that was pointed out was in our last meeting with the Wisconsin DNR and fire officials is that we'll be removing the fuel source in a potential fire issue with that, with cutting. I think that, you mentioned the process, this process in general. The reason I think that it's landed in your lap and that it's part of the county zoning committee's decision, but ultimately it's presented to you in this way, is that these types of projects are imperative to the county's zoning structure. They represent a need to the community that the community has to have, whether it's power, power line, power substation, in this case, a solar facility. It's another tool that we need to support our county's growth and the needs of the residents. I think that the Webb Lake Solar Project is a project that the residents and the ratepayers can be proud of. It represents renewable energy that, in my mind, is functional. And it's addressing the exact needs of what the community needs at the place where it's needed. It will improve the power quality in the area. And honestly, the way Beth and One Energy has proposed it, nobody's really going to know it's there because it's bordered with trees on both sides of where Long Lake and Lake 26 border the property. You'll have your entrance points, and maybe some snowmobilers going by. But really, the way it's being presented, it's going to be, maybe you see the sign and then we'll see it as we do educational visits to the area and with the local fire departments as well. But I think that that it's going to be built in a way that's conducive to the community, and I think it's going to be a nice little positive jewel that the community has in its back pocket. Any questions for me in the power company?
You say some of these,
Jim,
parts, I'm sorry.
turn the mic up.
You say that some of these parcels that you showed us in the handout are back. People are now aware that they have those personal solar systems right now.
Yeah, we have 100+ customers.
Okay, all right. And what was, not knowing which direction this is going to go, I have no idea, but what's your alternative? Is what you are suggesting. I mean, that you almost have to.
Yeah, like I said, there's.
If you don't set up here, you have to set up somewhere else.
We will set up. I'm
Exactly.
guessing all utilities will set up in addition to this facility. Because like I said, in the beginning, all these coal plants are going away. These coal plants represent thousands of megawatts. This facility is 2,500 kilowatts. It's minuscule. So what you see is utilities, we will use this facility to address this particular area's needs. And I foresee utilities continue to build these types of facilities in other areas of their system as well. I know the neighboring utility is looking at their second build. And I don't expect that to be the last. I expect to see distributed generation, is what this is called, located throughout the utilities grid to address the site-specific needs of the areas.
Yeah.
It's not really a generation source in this size that's just put on so that you can sell the power to a utility in Illinois. This is a site-specific project. And and for Northwestern, that's the way the tool will continue to be used. But it's not an option of me building a facility in Fallen and then exporting the energy back up to Webb Lake. That doesn't help me. This energy will be used to beef up the Webb Lake system. And then maybe I'll go down some other substation somewhere.
And my thought on this is just the first one we've considered. It won't be the last one.
I don't think you
Reconsider.
guys are gonna, I think you're gonna continue to see this.
I'm sure I'm confident of that.
I think.
My spies have already told me
Well,
about
Beth
it.
makes a living, so. And we were approached by many different developers, and we still are. This is, like I said, there's thousands and thousands of megawatts disappearing in terms of gas-fired plants, coal plants. And solar is one tool. We've got a 15% share in a wind project that we did a few years back that has helped us. And we'll continue to seek other sources, but eventually the coal plants will just go away. And how we're gonna do that is anybody's guess, but you gotta work the problem, and that's what this process is all about. Any other questions?
Well, the other question, this has nothing to do with anything except that, do you collaborate with these construction companies like, One Energy? What comes first?
You mean in terms of the construction process or
Yeah,
right now? The planning process?
locating this, for example.
Northwestern saw this need first,
So then you've got to find a construction company.
then we look at developers, yeah, and we did a kind of a vetting process with developers. To figure out which developer we wanted to go with. As I said, we had an early visit by an agent of the One Energy. And he stopped by and we talked, and that was that for about a year. And then we revisited the issue, and we're doing some more due diligence with different developers and settled on One Energy. And like I said, Beth has been here working with neighboring utilities too. And so there's some back and forth between utility managers. It's just like you guys would do it at home when you're looking at contractors. Look for some word of mouth.
I'll just speak a little for One Energy's history. So we, generally in our Wisconsin portfolio have built a lot of projects for dairy power, rural electric cooperatives, and some municipal utilities. And so those projects really start with the relationship with the utility. Some of the bigger utilities in the state, like Excel, Alliant, and WEC, those projects come about more from us initiating project proposals that we submit to the utility to see if they're interested. But on the Dairyland side and working with Northwestern Wisconsin Electric, as John said, it really starts with utility saying to us, this is where we want a project, this is where we need a project, and then we work to create that.
I really want to point out that this is a site-specific project. This energy that that One Energy is gonna be producing is not, our goal is not to export it somewhere else. And to see it enter the market and try to make money on that sort of thing. Our goal is to address the site-specific needs of the location that it's going. Any other questions?
I think
After 37 years working for Northwestern, I was thinking about that. I've been there a little more than a third of its history. I like to talk about it. I've learned a lot about the community. It's all been here in Burnett County. I grew up in a cabin right behind, going to a cabin right behind where this facility will be built on Des Moines Lake. It's been a lot of fun. And I know a lot about the business in the area, and I invite you guys as a committee and the general public to call me anytime and ask about these projects. we're a very, very, very small company. There's only 35 of us.
Hmm.
So I still handle high bill complaints, and on the way home, I'll be in a substation. So I'll take your questions and answer them as best I can.
Any other questions from the committee?
Yeah, I think we've gone as far as we can go for information, but we aren't talking any further about it, so. We're good, I think.
I think we'll wait for a response from Mr. Grindell.
Yeah, we'll just ask him to provide us some assessment of what our authority is. You know, as I said, I know it's limited compared to, but Act 67 also puts a lot of, you know, limits on a conditional use, but way prior to Act 67, I think 25 years ago almost, the statute for renewable energy limited the extent of regulatory authority for local governments.
Hey,
Forgot the layout that I handed out to you all. We have enhanced the aggregate around the components of the project from our standard design. So in the memo, in the layout, the inverters, there's 10 inverters, they will all have 5 feet of aggregate around all sides. That's more than what is standard. And also the transformer and switch gear that are mounted on the cement pad will also have 20-foot aggregate around it, which is again more. So
Little
that's
more
not a condition that we proposed, it's just something that we implemented in the design.
just in the design,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It enhanced it a little bit.
So, thank you. And can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
For the November meeting, when it's the public hearing and everything, do you plan to take a vote on the project then?
Right,
Okay,
right. We did not, we postponed the public hearing until November.
Mhm.
But we wanted to have some further discussion about how, you know, we can't talk to ourselves except in a meeting, right?
yes.
So how do we want to consider this? And that, you know, we've done some research and talked to our council and, you know, and you know the law better than I do, I think. But we want to be sure what we do is in conformity with what we can do.
Mhm.
So,
Well, great. We look forward to that. You know, our commitment to Northwestern Wisconsin Electric is to try to get this built next year for them. Of course, we need to try to have a decision so that we can go forward with, you know, ordering equipment that takes a long time.
just keep in
prepare.
mind, even if we were considering it today, you know, everything we do is subject to appeal and, you know, and if someone would appeal a conditional use, effectively, that's a stay or until the BOA would hear it, court. And that could all happen. I don't know, but could happen either way. If we
Yep.
said, no, you could appeal it.
Yep.
And we say, yes, someone else might, you know the game.
Yep. Okay, thank you so much.
thank you.
We're happy to answer any questions that you have post this meeting about the proposed decision. Feedback.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Don has something.
Just real quick, good morning, Don Hamilton. I'm on the Burnett County Snow Trails and I'm also the vice president of the Wonderland Snowmobile Club. So from experience, we work with utilities, we work with property owners every year. We sign property easements and contracts to allow this beautiful network of Burnett County Snow Trails to exist. So we're very active and we'll have a meeting later this month and I'll make sure, Mr. Szymanski, that we'll get the Lakes and Pines Snowmobile Club engaged, with Northwest, but Northwest has always been a great advocate and a great friend of the snowmobiling community. So we'll make sure that our trail requirements and our design, and we'll work with Beth and the utility to make sure that the snowmobile trail, if they are willing to allow it there, will be successful. And, you know, we relocate trail all the time. So we'll make sure the paperwork and the design is tight and right, and we'll move this. That piece should not be a concern from a snowmobiling standpoint. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 7, Land Services, Property Information Zoning Division Report.
So the reports are in there, staff reports. Budget, Everything is pretty much on par for where we should be this time of the year, nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah, lots of permits still.
91 dwellings, is that more than last year?
You know, you guys always ask me that type of stuff,
Well, I should
but I
look
never
at
know.
that. It is.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go then. Yeah, it seems like it's in quite a few new dwellings and that's I think kind of tied to the more people moving to the area. You know, and as we get more internet capabilities up here, more people will move up here and so that seems to be what's going on.
Okay. Everything else. Fine. Are there any comments about the reports that Jason provided us? Not, are there any future agenda items?
So for next month, we will have. Just want to see how many public hearings we have. We have, looks like we have, the Waltzing one is gonna be postponed. No, the storage unit one, that one. So we'll have 3 public hearings next.
Three.
Yep.
One will be on the storage unit.
2 of them are for storage type things at different campgrounds, and then 1 will be for the solar.
Okay.
panels. So,
Question.
Yep.
For next month, do we want to put Corp Council on the agenda and have them do a little presentation?
Who? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Do we want to put Corp Council on the agenda and have them present what they found for everybody to hear?
I don't know that we need, I think he's automatically, if we request him to be here present, right? How's that work?
Yeah, but depending on what he has
No,
for
that's
court, you know, items already scheduled,
Yeah,
normally I know in the past, he's always just submitted, you know, a written letter
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever of it. We've asked for
Yeah.
guidance or help on something. we usually just submit.
yeah, that's more typical. He just will say
Yeah.
this is
Okay.
like a memo to us and then that's on the record.
In conjunction with.
But or he may come down in person and just talk, but it's per our request. He's just, you know, adding information. So we had never specifically put him on as a separate agenda item and we can, in conjunction with that hearing. I think it'd be fine. Yeah, you kind of caught me off guard on the question.
I don't think he would like to be involved on the public hearing.
Well, and I know he won't answer questions on the fly, because, you know, he wants to be able to have time to research. Not being a legal opinion on something.
Okay, next meeting date is November 7th, 2023. There a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Hayden,
Second.
second by Mr. Schminsky, all in favor,
I.
opposed, carried. Thank you.
Don't run off yet. I gotta have you guys sign that resolution that I modified.
Bye, bye.